Okay, here we go. This game looks amazing.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. A non-stop.
We aren't actually cool, trust me. Yes.
Kill everything that moves action brawler with co-op.
Trust me, everyone that's saying is trying to leave South Florida.
The story. Dark Alliance takes place in the frigid world of
You're right.
Icewind Dale. You might need to take a sweater. You will explore varied and iconic locations in the frozen north, including Calvin's Cairn, this is it, the Hinterlands, and Dwarven Valley. Here lies the ancient and powerful Crystal Shard. If it falls into the wrong hands, darkness could blanket this realm. So naturally, this power attracts legendary monsters. They've formed a Dark Alliance. They've set aside their differences to capture the Shard and its powers. You and your party are the only ones standing in their way. So you're quite important. The party. This is Drizzt. He's fast, he's powerful, he's got 2 Zs in his name.
Okay, so if you don't know who Drizzt is, you guys need to get off the internet. Go pick up R.A. Salvatore's whole series. Read it. Come back to me in a month. And tell me how freaking awesome the whole series is.
Name, and as a trick he does at parties sometimes, he can summon this big gal. Catty Bree. Ranged or up close, she's in control of the battlefield. I wish I could do that. Wolfgar.
Yeah, I need you to read the whole Drizzt series from the Bruno where it's at. I mean, Bruno is what I named my first WoW character after. Brunar is amazing. Wolfgar is amazing. Wolfgar with his hammer, which they got the hammer wrong, by the way.
Big hammer. Big power.
They got the hammer wrong.
Who's to say?
The hammer is more like Thor's. That hammer is not that big. It's like a little bigger, just a month. Yes, it's a little bigger than Thor's hammer, but it's not as big as that.
Wolfgar. He's the muscle.
Jarlaxle. Actually, Jarlaxle is really cool. You're right.
Big power. Big everything. Who's to say? Bruna, the protector. Look at his
video. I'll check it out.
He can take a beating, but he'll give one back. The combat.
I love
Dark
this.
Alliance, combat is everything. Each hero has over 50 moves and abilities to unlock, which is only slightly more than myself. I have 49 and a half. If you think that
Probably
sounds
not
too hardcore, it's not for me. Don't worry, we've created an emergent combat system that will easily have your character switching between the most epic attacks in the game. Whoa. Whoa.
Maybe DLC.
Whoa. Of course, if you do want to get hardcore, and who doesn't sometimes, there's a lot to master. You have light, heavy, and special attacks that can be chained together into powerful combos. Ooh, glad that's not me.
Listen to Rage. You know you'd have fun with this game.
And counters to defend against the hordes of enemies. I'm just going to warn you, though, these attacks and counters deplete your stamina, which you definitely don't want to run out of mid-combat. Trust me, I've done it. It's embarrassing. Then there are more powerful abilities and ultimates that deplete your ultimate meter. That gets filled the better you do in combat. There's also attacks like empowered strikes, which can deal devastating critical damage.
You see her kick the guy? She like punted the goblin and half across the area.
These a-holes right here. I bet they didn't get enough hugs as baby goblins. Throughout your journey, you're going to run into over 30 different enemy types. And of course, if you're fighting minions,
look at that belly. I'm jealous.
30 different enemy types.
Look at that belly. Look at all the enemies, though. I love them. I love it. Oh, little goblin scout. I love it. Look at the little revenant. Can't see my fat head, but there's another little goblin scout over here. Ooh, dark dwarfs.
And of course, if you're fighting minions, that means there's bosses.
Beholder!
Big bosses. Huge bosses, which is like big bosses, but bigger. Probably some bosses that always call without texting first. Even new bosses being added throughout the year that I haven't even seen yet. Take on any boss in the army in any order you want, although I'd start with this one because he threw mud at me. The gear. What's D&D without loot to grab, collect, and make your own? As you level up your character, you can level up your gear, taking out your hero at base camp before each mission. Your loot will range from common all the way up to legendary status. And there's no microtransaction here. If you want the best gear, you need to earn it one battle at a time.
I love it.
The way my grandmother did. The co-op. You can absolutely take on this adventure on your own. But sometimes stabbing evil creatures with pointy weapons is just more fun to do with friends. It's a well-loved social activity. Dark Alliance was made to be played with others, so you can jump into a quick play or make a custom game all your own. When you
I love
play
it.
together, you unlock new attacks and abilities for your team. Each hero has a unique way to trigger team attacks. Ha ha ha! Wow, that looked very intense.
To build a game around, actually incorporating, like, you will do better or you will get farther if you play with people, is exactly how these games should be built.
And everyone has their own special attack, dealing out devastating damage.
I love it.
But be warned, the bigger your team gets, the tougher
It's
the
so pretty.
monsters become. Well, we hope you enjoyed hearing about Dark Alliance.
It's so pretty.
And remember, if you find yourself in possession of the crystal shard that gives you ultimate power, because it happens, try not to be a dick about it.
Listen, I miss Diablo 2.
Dungeons and Dragons, Dark Alliance.
If anyone could give me 622, wait, 622? Thank you, Flat. Neverwinter Nights. I miss the game that lets you make your own story. Neverwinter Nights and all the expansions. Neverwinter Nights was one of the best D&D experiences you could ever have. Yeah, Neverwinter Nights was amazing. If someone could give me the same feeling that I had when I played Diablo 2, where I just could not stop going back and doing it over and over again, trying to get the best gear, trying to get the best everything for me, dude, I would invest a ton of time into that game. If I get my hands on it, we're playing. If I get my hands on it, yes. I feel like Dragon will also play. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of the Drit series. Time of the Twins, everything like that. Neverwinter Nights, they might have shut it down, but you can also host your own server. It's going to be on Game Pass. Oh, it is. All right, let's go. Xbox Game Pass. You pay monthly for games that show up right there. Okay, so the idea that they're doing Game Pass means that they're trying to get as many people in the game as possible, which is awesome. I love that. I just hate that it's on Xbox, but I play it on PC, so we're okay. If it's on Game Pass, I can play it on PC, right? I don't know. If it gives me the same feeling that I had when I played Diablo 2, then I'm sold. I put way too many hours into it, but it looks good. Did I say Xbox Game Pass? Well, it has the Xbox logo, so I was thinking. I'm hoping it's going to be PC. 20 minutes of Dark Alliance gameplay. Let's see the final preview. It's 4 minutes. I don't want to do a whole.
With only a couple of weeks
20-minute
left before
thing.
launch, I recently got another invite into the frozen wastes of Icewind Dale in D&D Dark Alliance. This time to see how it plays with a full party of 4 stalwart heroes.
Ooh.
You can get a more in-depth breakdown of its basic gameplay and structure in my initial hands-on party
Wait a
of 4
minute.
stalwart.
Okay, are you controlling the attributes here? I wonder if this is going to be you. I wonder if they give you the base characters. Wolfgore looks so good. I wonder if they're going to give you the base characters, and then you'll modify your character how you go. I wonder.
You can get a more in-depth breakdown of its basic gameplay and structure in my initial hands-on impressions, but here's a quick refresher for anyone who may not be up to speed. Dark Alliance, not to be confused with the recent re-release of the 2001 PS2-era classic Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, is a co-op action game with RPG-style progression based on characters and events from the D&D novels of the 80s and 90s. You play as one of the 4 companions of the Hall, famous in-world adventurers, as you stab, smash, slash, or shoot your way through a non-linear series of levels full of famous fantasy monsters to amass a hoard of kick-ass loot, and I guess save the realm from untold devastation.
You just bought the deluxe version? Damn.
And what? Take on an entire Verbeegan goblin horde yourself?
I mean, it doesn't come out till the 22nd, right?
It was good to finally see what the Dark Alliance experience looks like with a full 4-player party, and it was about as chaotic as I expected. I'd often finish off an enemy with a plan on who to attack next, only to turn around and find that the field was already cleared, or in complete chaos. I'm sure that's somewhat due to the fact that we aren't all experts yet on its mechanics, and some connection issues during our remote play session definitely didn't help either.
Oh, that's awesome, Vlad.
I'm looking forward
I'm
to actually
playing.
having time to get familiar with the combat system.
Gotcha, King.
As there appears
I'm
to
about
be
to
a
watch that.
considerable amount of context-specific moves that you can unlock to create some really interesting combos.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Networking issues aside, our demo wasn't without its technical hiccups. Elements of the UI would occasionally disappear, animations sometimes stuttered or lagged, and there were even some enemies who would refuse to fall over once they hit 0 HP, but the devs said that they were aware of that when going in, so hopefully it's been dealt with in the weeks before launch. I also had some input delay issues with traversal during what were admittedly supposed to be fairly simple platforming and exploration sections, though hopefully that can be attributed to the fact that I was playing through a game streaming service. Regardless, I definitely owe my teammates an apology for my dwarf's inability to land jumps across lava pits.
I was gonna say, he really doesn't look like he's doing a good job.
The session more fun than it was frustrating.
He looks like a new gamer.
Despite what was a comically difficult time spent exploring around the level that we were demoing.
Bro, what are you doing?
We got stuck in those spike traps like forever. We were able to pretty efficiently roll over every combat encounter on the CR1 difficulty. Not to boast, but we literally took down the mission's final boss in under 20 seconds. We decided to give the mission another run on the next highest difficulty level, and it was a pleasant surprise to find ourselves getting our asses kicked pretty much every step of the way.
That's
Even
awesome.
taking
I
every
like
short
that.
rest we were offered to recharge our health and potion supply, we barely made it past the halfway point before we had to call it quits.
I love that.
Seeing as this was just the second difficulty level out of 6, I'm curious to see what changes occur at higher levels beyond just enemies having more HP and doing more damage. Though I'm sure that would be challenging enough in its own right. Our developer...
I love the idea of difficulty levels where you set your own thing. Like you make it as hard as you want it to be. I love that.
The issue will largely come down to how good your equipped gear set is. Though they made sure to
Ooh.
emphasize that it wasn't just about loot, and that with a full roster and enough skill, even a poorly outfitted party should be able to take on higher difficulty levels.
Of course, Jim.
The team was also eager to talk about their post-launch plans, which currently include 2 free DLC packs that introduce new levels and difficulty ranks, as well as a paid story expansion that will introduce a new playable mage character, though we don't know which, if any, of the tabletop D&D caster classes they'll be modeled after. The star inclusion for me, though, is the couch co-op update coming alongside...
So like I said, their DLC is going to be new characters, new areas.
...those first 2 DLCs. I had a good time smacking goblins around with 4 online teammates, but I feel like the real joy of Dark Alliance is going to be on the couch with a buddy. Hopefully, these final weeks before launch give the team enough time to get some of those technical issues resolved, so I can say with 100% certainty that getting Faerun's most famous adventurer killed was nobody's fault but mine. Or the controller. In fact, yeah, it's probably definitely that.
Oh, totally
For
controller.
more on Dark Alliance,
Always
check out
blame the
latest
controller. Never
gameplay
blame
explainer
yourself.
featuring Jermaine Clement, or a full mission's worth of gameplay. And for everything else in the world of RPGs, stick around on IGN.
All right, guys. I'm permanent Wolfgar. Maybe some Brunar here and there. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe. We'll see. It looks good. It looks really good. It looks really good. All right, let's hear this. The most authentic Pittsburgh accents.
People from Pittsburgh had an accent.
Like if I